Dear reader, recording number 5. This is day 5 of recording number 5. It'll take me a while to get used to saying that. I could edit that out, but I won't. I'm going to do the exact same way as I did Dear Grace. I'm going to do Dear Reader the exact same way I did Dear Grace. Off the cuff. It's off the cuff. Straight from the heart. It's right or wrong. It might piss off whoever. I might call someone a cunt. I'll get whatever frustration I have out until the next recording, which will hopefully be the next day. Or when I started Dear Grace, sometimes I did 2 a day, because it felt like I was talking to her directly. Whether I was or not, who knows? The palace courtyard is empty today because it's about to rain any second, or maybe not. We'll see. I might get lucky. There you go, listener. I get the full experience. Trains, crows, etc. Also, since those quote-unquote producers of the Telepathy Tapes can't seem to figure out how to release their footage before 2026, I might as well work on as many episodes as possible, so that when they finally do release it, if someone finally does make the story go mainstream, or the story of telepathy go mainstream, my podcast on how to live with it is sitting there waiting and ready to go. Guess I'm just going to edit on the fly. Reader. Dear reader, I'm at my second part of the day. The squirrels are going to get a treat. Pizza crusts. They're not even dried up. I really should just eat one myself right now, but I brought them for the squirrels, so I'll give them to the fucking squirrels. There's a very cool fish. It's very golden, but sort of a reflective golden. Not golden, but like someone layered it with gold. Some guy sitting on a bench looking up to the heavens talking. I'm assuming he's talking to his god. Good luck. He only takes messages. One pizza crust is down. It's gonna be a big rant, so I gotta wait for the train. And the plane flying overhead. Science rant. My solution to the whole university thing, I rant from Dear Grace, or earlier episodes, I can't remember, is to keep the technical sciences to a degree, at least until there's a way of preserving the knowledge without electricity. Continue the technical because until the so-called scientists can actually guarantee us the meteor won't hit us, or this 3 AI Atlas fucking thing won't hit us, or they can deflect anything, guaranteed, or blow the fuck out of it, or whatever, until these scientists who seem to know everything about everything, but can't help us out in this scenario, then I say we have a backup plan. We have a backup plan, not necessarily building bunkers and preparing for the worst. That never works, and all the stupid politicians will be saved, but useless to rebuild humanity. What the fuck could King Charles do? Fuck all, but eat the food better served to someone who could rebuild humanity, like an electrician. Back to the rock star. Every train gives me a sip of rock star. Sugar-free. The university should be a storehouse of knowledge spread around the world. Why are they charging to educate? Isn't that knowledge a human right? Either university should be a warehouse of knowledge or a warehouse of knowledgeable people who, if we were hit by the big one, but it wasn't horrible, and a lot of the infrastructure was still there, we would need people that know how to get dams back online or nuclear power plants back online, or build temporary generators from spare parts or whatever it takes. Those are the dudes that we need protected, not celebrities of any sort, unless they have skills, or comedians. Comedians get a free pass. It says insert the School of Comedy script. I think I'm going to leave that till the end on a flow. And that way, if someone's actually dumb enough to give me $5 a month to listen to this, but they hate my movie idea, they can just listen to these episodes until it gets to the movie idea, then stop. I'm such a nice guy. I don't know why I'm doing this for these people. $5 a month? Really? Since all the soft science stuff is basically mostly subjective and strictly someone's opinion, if their data is only stored on hard drives to be retrieved later, so be it. But we need a system to store data that's indestructible for a lifetime. Or at least as long as the pyramids have lasted. Some sort of some sort of bad situation. There's a lot of words I can't say and they all start with A. Although I think I may have spelled that word wrong anyways. Some sort of horrible situation. I'm just an idiot. In some sort of bad situation, assuming we can get enough of the electrical grid up, we want access to the repository of videos on YouTube on how to do damn near anything, including building a dam for electricity. Search it. A large percentage of the so-called uneducated public could teach themselves how to do many different things strictly from a YouTube video. They don't need a university degree, they don't need anything, just common logic, common sense, and the ability to watch another perform the task live, so to speak. Isn't that how most of us learned how to be human, watching our families live over and over again? What about the following for a task for universities until AI shuts them down? Because let's face it, AI professors a million times smarter. Probably has a better personality than a lot of the old timers. Tenure is such a stupid concept. Wasted money paying some university professor to give the same fucking lectures year after year for what, 10, 20, 30 years? Or fucking opening their mind and changing it? Unbelievable. I mean, if it's math, that's one thing, but again, a history professor teaching the same shit for decades without ever really having definitive proof. You dig up some bones in a campsite, the only history you can determine is someone apparently died at that campsite. What about the following task for the university until AI shuts them down? Put all your big-brained students together and figure out a way to end homelessness permanently. Whatever solution you come up with, I don't care. Figure it out. I've tried. I failed. Unless, of course, unless, of course, 1,000 people sign up to the founding member price point subscription with this podcast. $1,000 at $720. I think that would be enough to kick off the Grace Foundation. Get a few people off the street. And take this story, turn that amount, double it, triple it, quadruple it. Once this movie idea about the comedian spread, it's over. I guess it's Russian or Ukrainian Day. It's a joke for the founding member listeners only. A whole bunch of Russians were walking around the park when I did the original recording. Or anything really, universities. The FDA is set up to make it difficult to get drugs approved, so it's difficult and expensive to research them. However, the FDA is only in the US. They don't control the entire world. So what's the excuse of every other university for not doing pharmaceutical research that is intended to be shared with the world, not made a profit on? The university could license the formula to whoever they want. They could also stipulate no price gouging, etc., etc. Or I personally would go open source, or give the formula to anyone that knows how to make it, assuming, of course, that's not the next heroin. Or, listener, if it is the next heroin, then just add it to the list of the psychedelic test drugs. Might help people sleep, who knows? Or avoid pain or something. I'm thinking like something that's truly a safe weight loss drug. It's a miracle weight loss drug, because at first you have to take a lot of it to get any effect whatsoever. So first you take a lot of the miracle drug, and slowly you start losing weight. Now normally with most drugs, the reverse would happen. You build up a tolerance, and you have to increase your dose. But with the miracle drug, which, give me a minute, reader, I'll come up with a name here in a second. It should be clever, or funny, or hilarious, or all three. You can pull off the timing. Or have a crow screech, or something like that. I just walked by a free couch. By the way, reader, I don't know how to lie. Apparently I'm autistic. I say I walked by a free couch. I walked by a free couch. Well, I also walked by Mr. T's van. I got a picture of that, but he's normally not parked in this street, which is interesting. Also a bit stalkerish, that I know what street he normally parks on. I assume he's a dude that owns a Mr. T van. Could be a chick. There's a cute white baby. I'm going to edit this a bit, reader, but some of those out-of-place Tourette-sounding sentences in quotes or something. Never did do that. listener. I'm going all out today. I'm having my first Starbucks coffee in a very long time. Maybe not very, but months. Not for any particular reason. I guess also it's been summer. Cold drinks make more sense. Now apparently it's fall, the season to give up. Dear Reader is a lot harder than Dear Grace. I guess because Grace is Betty, and Betty's in my head, so I get an instant feedback on my words as they are spoken. If you're curious to know how that works, I have no fucking idea. But I do know I'm communicating with her head. I do know, but I do know I'm communicating with her in my head telepathically. Or she's a figment of my imagination and of my genius. I'll take either. And it's starting to rain, so I might get screwed here. I'm going to try and describe how it works from now on. I'm going to try and describe how telepathy works from now on, because it's not a voice in my head, and I don't communicate, or we don't communicate, or at least on my side, there's no audible voice. So to me, that is a telepathic communication, and I can think of something that I would say to her, and then receive this as a response, or it's in my imagination. I'm a goddamn genius. Either one, it doesn't really matter, because it's the best thing that's ever happened to me, and I'd be dead without Betty. A train, I'll just start saying train randomly in this text. A train goes by and breaks my train of thought. But the rain is forcing me to go inside and do something else, or go home. Alright, I didn't go inside. I meditated and the rain stopped. Or maybe I controlled the weather with my meditation. Or maybe the aliens are controlling the weather. A Day in the Life of Dave. This podcast book is meant to be a day in my life, my current life, but my current life is so boring. I'm going to have to go back in time, in history, in mind, but I won't go past June 14th, 2016. I'm pretty sure this next story happened after that, I guess. Maybe this is my first story. Is it a story if it's in the past, or if it's in the present, and I'm recording the present? I'm trying to stop time by recording. The story is the same as time itself. The story I remember was I was waiting for a Plenty of Fish date to show up, and she was late. That's not the surprise part. But then there was this lady that sat down that kind of looked like her, and I couldn't really remember the Plenty of Fish date picture completely, so I generally just get there early, and then they can find me a whole lot easier. So I walked up to this lady who was eating celery, and I said, "Are you blah blah blah?" She's like, "No." I'm like, "Okay." And then finally blah 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 showed up, and she's like, "Oh, I know I don't look like my photo. You don't look like your photo. Let's get over that, blah blah blah." I'm like, "Okay." And she really did not look like her photo, so I wasn't surprised that I mistook a stranger for this person. Sounds a little too J.D. Salinger-ish, but be fair, listener, I haven't read another author in probably 3 years, if you want to consider me an author or writer or whatever. I don't know what credit you get for a podcast book. Guess it depends if I get off my ass and edit this final transcript or not. Those are the sort of fascinating stories I would tell Grace on Dear Grace, with Betty in my head listening live, to which she would say, "That's a cute story," to which I would say, "Rate it," to which she would say, "Rate it yourself. You're the writer," which I would say, "You're my muse. You have to do what I say." But she would say, "Fuck you, David." And that's what it's like to have a voice in your head named Betty. It really doesn't let me get away with fuck all. Kind of disappointing, actually. Guess I'm really living the dream now. A true photojournalist. I'm including a photo of a crack pipe, or a broken crack pipe that is beneath my butt, or stuck between two slots of wood on the bench where I sit. I noticed it there today, pushed it further down because it won't come up. You have to be pretty fat, but you'd have to have a pretty fat butt for it to actually touch the pipe through those slots. In fact, it'd be almost impossible. You'd have to have a liquid butt and the sharp sides pointing down. So even if you did get through, I think you'd be safe. I guess you'd get it caught on the way up. If it's so liquidy that I can go through a 1/4 inch slot. Now, if I was drunk when I came up with that, I would blame the booze. But that's literally the thought that comes into my head when I see something like that. And yes, I'm on the same bench, and yes, the pipe's still there. One squirrel and 2 crows are happy. Well, the squirrel is kind of dumb, but he eventually found the crust. I'm not sure if Gimpy got any of the pizza crust or not. Gimpy is the crow. I guess if I'm going to do this on a regular basis, I might as well start naming these fucking characters. I've got Gimpy the crow. I should actually use a C name just so it's easier to remember. But he is Gimpy, so I don't want to say, and I don't want to say Cripple Crow. That sounds bad. Plus, he's not necessarily crippled, he's just gimpy. He seems to get as many worms as the rest of these black devils. If Betty turns out to be a figment of my imagination, I've got the perfect dating profile on Dear Grace. I'll basically just say, start at episode 1 of Dear Grace. If you get to the last one, call me. If there's any woman patient enough to listen to all the episodes, she would at least be worth going out on a date with. In a highly public area, of course. Pretty soon. Pretty soon we'll be able to create our own private LLMs. I'll just put Dear Grace and all my Substack in there, but then include all my past conversations with Grok into the LLM to create a Dave personality or chatbot. I think I've already had this idea before in Dear Grace, but it's coming to me again, so I might as well just repeat it. I'm going to assume these are new listeners, readers, whatever. If I sound unenthusiastic, it's because I am. I just asked Betty. She's bored. She says I'm not bored, but I'm waiting for the day, just like you. It all sounds very sweet and romantic. Telepathy, Betty, even a senior citizen with imaginary friends. Maybe it's all a lie. Maybe I'm just the world's greatest comedian. A romance novelist. Not the world's greatest comedian. Who's never been on stage, and I don't know it. You'd think I could remember something I wrote a couple of days ago. It's like I turned the page and was like, oh, that's what the fuck I was trying to say. Alright. Head back to the stand-up comedy. Back taxes special number 1. Comedy is really more, or the stand-up is really more of a short story, but gets the point across. And today, listener, because you paid me $5 to listen to this, I'm not going to keep making the North Face joke, even though it's bold in the text. I do have a backup plan for back taxes if this so-called comedy fails. Counter-terrorism. I'll explain. I figure at least one of my other housemates, not the ones that live on my floor, at least one of the other so-called students, is probably a spy for their home country. My plan is to catch them, collect rewards so large it pays back my back taxes, and it sets me up with a nest egg for the rest of my life. I can always tell when new students move into the house. The Wi-Fi sucks for a few days. I think they're watching or downloading porn banned in their home countries. Then, they get it out of their system or fill up their hard drives and the Wi-Fi goes back to normal. I have no proof. This is simple deduction, as I noticed the Pornhub page looks all different at the beginning of the month, like someone new is influencing the house feed. To each their own. I'm not into BBW, but someone from another country is. Now, if the entire feed was old white guys hooking up with international students, and I wasn't the one searching for that, I'm not, it'd be a different story. It's not. Trust me. I check the page once a day, just to be sure. And no, I don't search for international students or DILF to artificially manipulate the feed and implant subliminal messages into my housemate's mind. When they go to the main page and see nothing but porn, the guy that looks like me, assuming they watch porn in the first place. That sounds psychotic. Only a psycho would manipulate a house's IP address that way. To be fair, the first week I broke into the router. Had the default password. I'm trying to remember why. Doesn't matter. It's not like I'm a retired computer programmer who understands algorithms and IP addresses to manipulate the house feed by writing a computer program that searches for guys that look like me 24/7 until the only thing on the homepage are dudes who look like me. That's what I should have just said in the beginning. That's a better joke, but whatever. I could, but I'm not interested in mind controlling my young, pretty housemates into finding me attractive. I have the barista to deal with. I have Betty the barista to deal with. It's hard not to look like a pervert if you're old and alone. Old guy talking to himself. It's hard not to look like a pervert if you're old. It's hard not to look like a pervert if you're old and alone. Train. I try to go to the park and write, but it's noisy. Fucking kids. At least I don't look like a pervert there. I sit on the other side of the park, away from the playground and the wading pool, sitting on a bench, tucked between a couple of trees, with a telephoto lens hidden in my gym bag. Just kidding. The Samsung 24 has a great zoom, no long lens needed. I unfortunately can't lie. I have a Samsung and a Samsung 7. Technically I have two, So it's like a 14 if I glue them together. That's an autism joke, in case you haven't figured that out yet. I can't lie. In truth, I hang out by the ball diamonds where parents picnic and let their kids run free, like dogs. I like watching the kids push themselves, chasing a soccer ball, a parent, or thin air, until they fall face first in the grass. Then I laugh. I need to stop making jokes about kids, no matter what. After 5 it sounds perverted. I'll go back to jokes about my pretty international housemates and how they have pillow fights every night, while scantily clad in the North Face hoodies, because the air conditioner is quote-unquote broken, quote-unquote again. I wish. That last statement isn't true. I don't live in the Playboy Mansion. And in fact, I like a cold and not hot in the house. And they don't wear anything scantily. They wear sweaters and sweats. Boring. See, I can't lie. But I do wear bras and panties and nighties in my room. That counts as scantily. My hairy old man balls hanging out of panties. Who would be turned on by that? And a less disgusting thought. The following stereotype is true. People from other countries cook weird shit. I don't mind. I can't smell. My nostrils are blown out. My nostril. My nostrils, my nose, my breathing is blown out from years of coke. Not true. Adderall, yes. Cocaine, no. But not snorting it. Snorting Adderall doesn't make it stronger. So I've been told. Either way, their food choices make the recycling bin way more interesting to check out. I do have a complaint about one of them. I'm not sure which one. I'm too shy to say anything about it, and now I find it kind of funny. Like when the smoker scares the crap out of me. The recycling bin is near the door to my room. I, and 2 of the girls, gently place articles in the bin, while the final girl thinks she's in the WNBA attempting a 3-pointer at the buzzer, who throws a can from 10 feet away and rebounds it off my wall like a fucking backboard. She moved out, listener. And I can't even figure out which of the 3 does it, because it often happens during my afternoon nap, and I'm too lazy to get up to say something. I accidentally catch her in the act one day. I'll find something funny or sarcastic to say to get my point across, just like I used to with my daughter Iris. Trust me, the daughter golden rule is all you need to manage or attract women, especially if you're lazy. Now onto the racist jokes. I can't be a complete racist, as I don't know what countries my housemates are from, but I would say from any part of Asia. A few are from one of the other brown areas of the world. Is that racist enough? I mean, there are 3 rice cookers on the kitchen counter. Can't they share one big one? A Canadian symbolic melting pot, so to speak? Maybe after I pay my taxes, I'll supply the house with one big-ass rice cooker. And, because I'm generous, unlimited rice. No conditions. I'm not trying to trade rice for sex. Well, one condition. No rice maggots. No rice maggots. Cute Chinese baby alert. that back. Cute Asian baby alert. What are rice maggots? Glad you asked. This is primarily a condition that affects white people, or people like me. Weird. Rice maggots are grains of cooked or uncooked rice found on the floor or in the sink or any place you'd rather not see a maggot. Because for a split second, when my brain sees a random grain of ice on the ground, it says maggot to me. Then I remember the odds of maggots being on my floor are much lower than rice, and I clue myself in. I won't be a Nazi about it. Here's free rice, but please keep the rice maggots under control. Is being a Nazi about rice maggots being racist? Even if you're doing a nice thing like free rice, I really need to get counseled before I even start doing stand-up. There's no fucking way I'll remember this set. I don't even want to repeat it again. I think 36 minutes is good. An hour a day is definitely going to be too long. Unless I get lucky and get in a flow. This looks good. Next episode, I'll continue with the movie idea. And by the way, listener, if you start at episode 6, if you want to do the whole movie idea from beginning to end, you gotta start at episode 6 and 7, then go back to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then skip up to 8, and then everything's back on track. Stand-up part doesn't matter. Stand-up can be cut up anywhere. End recording. David J.